Hi, welcome to the next section of Virtual Learning Programs, VLPIAS. So today we are discussing Indian polity. So Indian polity 2, the second topic. So let's go through the last class revision. See, now we are discussing about the making of the constitution in these slides. So the making of the constitutions deal with the events, the important events happened while the people of India or the leaders of India are making the constitution. And the second one is the objective resolution, and the third one the committees associated with the making of the constitution. So see, this slide we already discussed the few points, that 1600 the European entry, then the battle of Plassey in 1757, and after almost 100 years, then 1857 the first war of Indian independence at Meerut. Okay, and the next one is in 1947 Indian independence, and 2017 India now. Okay, so this one is the slide. Just revise. In the last session, we discussed about the first Indian Constitution historical background, about it, important acts, and the sources. Now we are discussing with the second topic, that is the making, important events, objective resolutions, important committees. So let us start with that: events, resolution, and committees. So this is a matter, events and all the resolution and committees. This happened in the time zone, in the time period of 1934 to 1950 almost. So 1934, we have to remember one important point, that is Government of India Act 1935. And that Government of India Act 1935 was an act by British people, and almost 60 to 50% of our constitution right now is also affected by this 1935 Government of India Act. So that's why we are still having the British legacy. Okay, anyway, 1934 to 1950 we are discussing right now. So the making of the constitution, the idea of this constitution, the idea we need a constitution, we need a constitution in India. This idea was first mooted by M.N. Roy, M.N. Roy in 1934. So when he just have a thought, he discussed the same thought with the International Congress. So thereby the International Congress demanded for a Constituent Assembly, that is in 1935. So what is the main function of Constituent Assembly? The Constituent Assembly is an assembly that planned to create the constitution for India. So why we need this constitution and why we need this Constituent Assembly, that is very important. And whatever it is, the August offer of 1940. The August offer of 1940 was, the British people was accepted in principle to create the Constitution Assembly. In principle means what? It is just an offer like thing. It is not at all there any agreement or something. In principle, we are going to provide you the Constitution Assembly like that. They offer it. That's happened in August offer 1940. And what happened in 1946? The Cabinet Mission Plan was initiated in India, and the Constituent Assembly was created in November 1946. And the main aim of the Constituent Assembly is to frame the Constitution of India. So that is the main point here. So the M.N. Roy, the concept of the M.N. Roy is very important. His concept, he's basically a leftist based man, and his main concept for Constituent Assembly is that he propounds that the Constituent Assembly is the assembly through which we can create Constitution of India. And just because of that Constitution of India, that means the law and order system or the legal thing or the executive and the legislative things in a book or a law and order system in India, then based on that we can create legislative assembly. So legislative assembly is the body where the people are getting elected directly and indirectly, and just using that legislative assembly, there we can only make a strong nation. So his idea was very simple and straight. Constituent Assembly leads to Constitution of India. Constitution of India leads to Legislative Assembly, and Legislative Assembly will definitely build a strong nation. That was his vision. So anyway, International Congress also promoted the same idea, and we created it, Constituent Assembly. So the number of members in the Constituent Assembly was, two types: nominated and elected. So some people are elected, some are nominated. Nominated definitely means that some British India, there is indirect election. That means the people of some princely states are nominated. So the exact calculation is 296 indirectly elected from British India and 93 were nominated by the princely states. So totally 389 people. And the first meeting of Constituent Assembly was happened in December 9, 1946, and definitely at that time Muslim League was boycotted this assembly. And Sachidananda Sinha, Rajendra Prasad, and B.N. Rao. These are the three important names. Sachidananda Sinha was a temporary president of the initial meeting, and later he was succeeded by Rajendra Prasad, the permanent president of Constituent Assembly, and B.N. Rao is a person who advises on legal matters. So he's a legal advisor, B.N. Rao. And on the same year, December 13, Jawaharlal Nehru suggested a resolution, objective resolution. It's very important. And this same objective resolution is now the preamble of India. So what is preamble of India? Preamble of India is a preface of the Indian Constitution. So when we read the preamble, when we read the preface of the Constitution, then we come to know that what this Constitution contains. So that is what is preamble all about. We are going to discuss that detail about the preamble in the coming sessions. Anyway, so preamble came into existence just because of the objective resolution of Jawaharlal Nehru on December 13, 1946. So remember this point. And our Constitution adopted on 26 November 1949 and commencement of the same Constitution of India on 26 January 1950. And the first meeting 24 January 1950, okay, and for drafting, and the final meeting on 1950 24 January, 2 days before the commencement of the Constitution of India. And it is one of the biggest and the longest constitution in the world. So it's take about two years, 11 months and 18 days for drafting the Constitution of India. And already took 165 days. That means almost 11 sessions were happened in this 2 year, 11 months and 18 days time. So it's one of the, the longest, biggest written constitution of the world. So well, now we are going to discuss about the objective resolution. Objective resolution means it's contained the fundamental propositions of the Constitution. What the Constitution all about? What is this? A recap, a revise, a capsule form. So the main important objective resolution I'll attach with this objective resolution. 1. India is independent. 2. India is sovereign. And 3rd is republic. Sovereign and republic. What's the meaning of sovereign and republic? So we are the ultimate. Nobody is there to rule us. We will decide whatever we want. And the second point, shall be a union. Shall be a union means what? We are different states, princely state, British provinces. So whatever it is, we are now a union type thing. And the third one is territories forming the union shall be autonomous. So whoever plan to be a part of the main central system, that means central government or a union, it's not a problem. But the territories, those who are forming the union, shall have an autonomous power too. So these are the 1, 2, 3 important principles. And the next principle is fourth one. Constitution shall be can be flow from the people. That from the people means what? It is this constitution is based on the people's desire, people's needs, people suggestions and all. So the control is flow from the people. That's the main highlight. Constitution shall be flow from the people. And the next one is guaranteed the secured social, economic and political justice. So we have to guarantee the citizen of India socially equality, economic equality, political equality and also justice. And the sixth point related to the main objective resolution, it is minorities, backward, tribal, depressed class. All are getting adequate safeguard for their living and all. And the next one is right on land, sea, air. We have our own right. We are sovereign ultimately. We have our own right on land, sea and air. And the last but not the least, land will promote world peace and welfare of the mankind. So we are now a sovereign, we are republic, we are independent, but we will work to promote the world peace and welfare of the mankind. That are the main 8 important fact or points related to the objective resolution of Jawaharlal Nehru. And this same thing was modified and it is converted as a preamble of the Indian Constitution right now. Now we are discussing about the committees of India. There are lots of committees, but we are only giving importance to some of the few very important committees. First one, it is a drafting committee. Drafting committee is headed by chairman was B.R. Ambedkar. So drafting committee decided they are making the constitution by collecting the data from different sources, and they created their own. They are drafting their own our own Indian constitution. And the second one was flag committee headed by J.P. Kripalani, related to the symbol flag. And the Union Constitution, it was by Jawaharlal Nehru, the committee. And you can see the name of the Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Provincial Constitution, Fundamental Rights and Minorities. So provincial constitution is very important. You know, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is also called the Iron Man. Why? Because he uses iron fist to control the princely states and pressure them to be a part of the Indian Union. So the provincial constitution and the fundamental rights, minorities, all these things are under the control of Patel, and Patel used the power to make this total union of India. That means Indian constitution. And now we are discussing about the main important features of the constitution. So it is very important. Features of the constitution. It is very important the main aspects too. So features of the constitution. The first one is bulkiest. So bulkiest, that means it is the written constitution as was already discussed. As already we discussed, it is the bulkiest. And why it is so bulkiest? Because you know what, whatever in it was written by us. Okay, so it is a written constitution and also bulkiest one. And we are going to discuss about these articles, parts, schedules, what this article and parts and schedules. So now I'll give you a small hint about these three terms: article, parts and schedules. Okay, what you have to do is consider, you just imagine that the constitution is a book. Okay, so every book, the front page is the preface. After preface there is chapters, and inside chapters there are small lessons. That is the main frame of a common book, right? And with this book we are getting a separate free booklet. Okay, so consider that Indian constitution is a book, and the preface is called as preamble, and the chapters inside that book is called as parts. And inside the chapters or inside the parts there are small lessons called as articles. So what it is? A book, preface is preamble, and inside is parts. Inside the parts we are having small lessons called articles, and we are getting a separate booklet free with this main book, main constitution, that is schedule. You just imagine like that. So that is what I am going to discuss with you: article, parts, schedules. So originally there were 22 parts with the Indian constitution, and inside that 22 parts there were 395 articles, and also separate booklet there are 8 schedules. But now it is getting bigger and bigger. Now in Indian constitution there are 24 parts, that means 24 chapters. Okay, in other words, and inside those 25 uh, parts there are 447 plus articles, and the schedules number is also increased. Now it is 12. So what the point here is, it is getting bigger and bigger like a monster or bulkiest. And the second feature of the Indian constitution is the rigid. It is the one of the constitution of the world which is very rigid at one time and also very flexible on the other side. So why it is so rigid and flexible? Let's discuss. Just suppose the Parliament of India, Parliament means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. This Parliament decided to pass a new bill related to the taxation of India, suppose. So when the Parliament decided to do, or Parliament decided to pass an act in India, they definitely get support from the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Okay, so depending upon some shape of the act or the bill, sometimes they need simple majority, sometimes they need two-third majority, as well as the ratification of not less than one half of the state. So what is simple majority? Simple majority is very simple. If there are 100 people in a parliament and 51 people are supporting, then it is simple majority. But the second point is different. Two-third majority has to support, and also the states, that means it is a combination. That bill definitely get a support from the state as well as parliament. Parliament 2/3 majority people will support the same bill, and also the states legislature, that means MLAs or the legislative assemblies of the state, half of the state, more than half or half of the state are supporting the same bill. So we know that there are 29 states, so half of it, more than half is supporting the bill, plus two-third majority of the parliament is supporting, then that bill will be passed as an act. And the third one is two-third majority only. So what I am discussing right now is some some decision or act taken by the parliament need simple majority. Okay, that means it is flexible. But some act need two-third majority as well as ratification. That means complex, so rigid, and some only need two-third majority. That's why I'm talking about one of the main feature of the Indian Constitution is it is very simple sometimes, it is very flexible sometimes, but the other side it is getting rigid and more complex. So it is a combination of rigid and flexible type. That is the feature. And the next one is third one. You know what Indian constitutions have in the parliamentary system of the government. So people are getting elected. So let us discuss about the parliament. So parliament, you know that there are two houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So in Lok Sabha, you can see those people are elected directly from the state. So that means people are elected directly from the state. For example, Shashi Tharoor. Okay. So people elected them and they directly went to the parliament. That is Lok Sabha. So Lok Sabha is also called as House of the People. The name itself indicates that it's a people's house, elected directly. And there is one more office there in parliament, that is Lok Sabha. One more Sabha, that is Rajya Sabha. Lok Sabha is already discussed. Next is Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha, it is indirectly elected. That means the people are not directly electing the MPs or member of the parliament to the Rajya Sabha. Okay, it is from the state. Each people are getting nominated or elected indirectly. So what is the point here is in parliament we are having two sabhas, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, that is parliament system of government. It is one of the most important feature of Indian constitution. And in that parliament there is a group of ministers called as council of ministers. Council means group. So this council of ministers is important for deciding anything in the parliament. They are deciding it. So that's why they are called as the real executives. They are executing the real thing lively. That is council of ministers, real executives. And when they pass some bill or an act, the president is getting the signature on it. So that's why the president is called as nominal head. The council of ministers stay in an office as long as they have the confidence of the parliament. They elected for become a majority of the party. Majority of the party. Suppose BJP got elected and they created their own council of ministers, and this council of ministers are doing the executive work. That is the parliament system. And why we are following this parliament system? It's very important. You know what? British people were ruling this India for 190, 200 years, and they left, and we have to follow whatever they followed, because you know what, they already existed. So that system, parliamentary system, is already existed in India. That's why we are still following it. And also it is working very well. Why? Because for a vast size of the country, that parliamentary system is best. Indirectly elected people and directly elected people are ruling these people. So that for the vast size of the country also we need the same. And the next one is the desire to avoid conflicts between executive and legislative. Example, USA. USA, we don't have this kind of parliamentary system. They are the executives and legislator. Legislator means those people are making the laws and order, or the bill or act. Executives are those people who are implementing the act, like IAS officers and all. Legislatures means what? Legislative peoples means what? They are elected like MPs and MLAs and all. So two types. There are three groups of people in India: executive people, legislative people, and also judicial people. So executive and legislators, to avoid the conflict between them, we are following the same parliamentary system. And one of the most important and the next feature of the Indian constitution, the federal system with a unitary bias. So you have to clear about the word federal and unitary. Unitary means, you think like this, it is unitary bias means it is always biased towards union. Union means the central government. So that means whoever chief minister is ruling a state, ultimately the control is with the central. So that is what unitary bias all about. So federation is with a strong center. That is a correct word. It is a federation of the states. It's a group of states like Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Gujarat, Rajasthan, etc. So it is a federation of states with a strong center that is in Delhi, who is ruling the total system. So it is not that the word federal or the federation is not used anywhere in the Constitution of India, but they describe the federation as the union of states. So the federation, what federation means? The federation of states, that means the union of states in India, is not as the result of any agreement among them. That means the Kerala government is not at all signing any agreement with the central government, or Tamil Nadu is not at all signing an agreement. So it is not at all having any agreement with the union or with the union and the unit, but the union cannot secede from it. That means like there is no option for Tamil Nadu to get away from Indian Union and to become a part of Sri Lanka. So they cannot secede from the total union of states. That is the important point. So that's the highlight. If they decided something like that, if the Tamil Nadu plan to go with Sri Lanka, then the next moment unitary biased. That means the central government will interfere. So there is no chance for Tamil Nadu, and there is no chance for any northeastern state to join any China or something. There is no chance for West Bengal to join as a part of Bangladesh, and ultimately there is no chance for Jammu Kashmir to become a part of Pakistan. Okay, so next important, that is unitary character during emergency. So during emergency, what happens? All the position of the central of all the position of the states will be in vain. That nobody has the power. The central will rule all the states. That is unitary character during emergency. There are some comments from some of the experts or constitution experts like Casey, Morris John, and Granule. So Casey called this Indian constitution as quasi-federal. That means state and central is having a share of business. That is quasi-federal. And Morris Jones call it as a bargain federalism. That means state is bargaining with the central, and the central is bargaining with the states. Like that, we are having the separation of power. So, but Granville is little positive in nature. He commented like, yeah, India is a cooperative federalism because state is cooperating with the union and the union is also cooperating with the states. And now let us discuss the distinct federations with some cara. You know what? The federation, division of power is there. State is having some power and central is having some power, and there is some power that the state and central is sharing. That is division of powers. Next one is bicameralism legislature. Bicameralism means what? Bi means two. Two cameralism means there are two houses in the parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and the same type of two bicameralism, two system of administration, two houses are there in the state legislature too. So we call, for example, in Tamil Nadu, there are in state level we are having two bodies, that is Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council, as same as legislative as same as Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, as in the central. So central it is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and in state it is called as Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. That is bicameralism. And the supremacy of the constitution. It is a written constitution, and you see that executive body and executive body and legislative body are a part of the parliament, but judicial is a separate body in India. So judicial means what? Law and order, lawyers, judges, rules and regulations, all those things are independent in India. So that is one of the main cara of Indian Federation. So unitary bias. I already discussed about the word unitary bias. Unitary bias means what? In case of some points, the state don't have any power, the central is having the power. Centrally, the power is biasing. So where we are having this kind of bias? So while we are appointing the governors for the state, and is there any parliament power to legislate by they are providing some law and order something, and parliament power to form new states name, etc. Emergency provisions, single citizenship, single constitution, integrated judiciary, comptroller and auditor general, that means CAG. In this area, the central is having more power than the state. That's why unitary bias with the center. So now we discuss in the next section about some more features like fundamental rights, fundamental duties, DPSP, etc. So what you have to do is go through the videos and write your own notes. Any doubts, let me discuss with you in the WhatsApp group. Thank you so much.